Yes, are you there?
Yes. Listen, I checked your website, right, and you have www.myyoutube.com, so they're not going to be able to click onto it. I checked it.
What website?
I made a text to you. You put an M in there on your on the other screen. I said,
We're
I can't
live.
The Real Deals are on the air. On the air now. And now, live from the Swords of St. Michael Studios, it's The Real Deals, Kenneth and Farrah Rose Deal.
Well, hello, everyone. Guess what? It's Sunday, and it's so good to see everybody in chat already. Hi, Margaret. Hi, Carolyn. Hi, Colin. I'm trying to do 2 screens now, everybody. I've got my son helping me. He's so fabulous. And we have got a show for you tonight, okay? I haven't quite got the mojo to get it across the screen. But tonight we're going to address some really interesting issues. It seems there's quite a bit of hubbub right now about a little rocking chair that was added to a collection from this book, in case if anybody doesn't remember it. The Devil in Connecticut. It would seem that people want to know what really happened with this rocking chair. So we've got a special guest in with our usual executive producer, Deb. So we'll introduce her in a minute. Right now, we're going to go to our what? It's time for our St. Michael prayer. So everybody, we've got to ask St. Michael for some protection. Here we go. Are we ready? In nomine Patri et Filio et Spiritus Sanctus, sic et principio et nunc et semper et saecula saeculorum. Amen. Sancta Michael Arcangele, defende nos in prelio contra nequitiam et insidiis diaboli est presidium. Imperit ere Deus supplices de peccamur tuque, princeps maletia celestis satana maliosque, spiritus malignos, qui ad perdition animarum pervegantur in mundo divina virtute, in infernum detrude. Amen. I love these angel pictures. Oh, my goodness. Welcome, Deb. Are you there?
Hi there.
Hey, how are you?
Good, sweetie. Also, we have, guess who we have, peeps?
You know what? No telling on your end. Hi, Suzanne. Hi, Athena. Hi, Colin. Hi, Zulma. I want to say hi to everybody. Hi, Michelle. You know, I'll tell you what, thank God, Ken trained Jacob, and he's got, like, everything all lined up. Hey, everybody, if you're out there, please give us a big thumbs up. Please subscribe. Click the little bell button. You will get notifications live with me right now. survivor of the devil in Connecticut, Deb Johnson, our producer, sister. Thanks, Deb, for joining us.
Oh, my pleasure.
And who do you say we have in the background?
We have Arnie Cheyenne Johnson with us.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh.
Hello.
Hello. How are you, Arnie?
I'm good. You?
Oh my gosh. It's beautiful here. It's absolutely beautiful. You guys starting to enjoy your summer?
Oh, we are. Actually, we're sitting on the front porch right now.
Oh, lucky you. Oh, how nice.
Beautiful.
Maybe someday we can all be like on the back porch and, you know, going on about this. I'm just shooting people a little bit of a screenshot to see what we're talking about in the Devil's Rocking Chair so they can see an image of it before we go over, because not everyone is familiar with your story. Not everybody realizes what a horror this whole story was. This story that you folks lived through, and, you know, I've researched quite a few of them. This, in my estimation, is the worst case. I am privy to a few of the details a lot of people don't know that will never be made public, but just the stuff that Gerald Brittle, we have to give Gerald Brittle a lot of credit for doing all these interviews and looking into everything so well. He really outlined everything that your family went through. He detailed from Deb Johnson. She had this fabulous, what was it, Deb? Was it a journal? Was it a loose leaf binder? What was it that you kept? Every single note. When you had Shy praying the Psalms and grabbing the holy water, what was it? Was it a notebook? What was it that you wrote in?
I had a journal I kept morning, noon, and night.
Oh,
and
my goodness.
in that journal, I had to write the date, the time, the place, and who was present in the room.
Oh, wow.
When things happened.
Oh, my goodness, honey.
Yeah.
So for people that are not familiar with this case, I wrote a little timeline so that, you know, when we start talking about this and we start talking about what really happened and some of the truth and all this stuff around these haunted items that everybody, I don't know why they covet them, Deb. I really don't understand it. If they had any clue what was associated with it, they would never get 20 miles within range of anything like this. So this timeline goes from 1 to 7, 7 being the number of completion, which your story is not yet completely completed yet. You're still seeing from time to time occasional things. We started with The Devil in Connecticut was a story written by Gerald Brittle of what happened to you and your family, correct? Your brother, right. Carl. Shy, who was known as Arnie at the time, and his love for you and his love for your family that really made him step in and want to solve a good deal of what was going on. So we started in 1973 with a paper that you had written, which was basically historical. It was about witchcraft. It was really nothing per se fun, but you did pick up on a Ouija board. And you did have a two-way communication with spirits that basically told you about your pregnancy.
Well, you guys remember everything about me in detail.
Ken took good notes, and I happen to have...
That was Ken's journal about me, wasn't it?
Yeah, and not only that, I have the book, too, with his notes. So I've got my cheat sheet, you guys.
And I would always tell Ken, how do you remember this stuff? I'm trying to spend the rest of my life trying to forget it all. Because I have it all right here.
I know. Well, and two, your mom had asked you to remind people that this is real. And a lot of people have tried to debunk Amityville. They've tried to debunk the Snedeker case. This is very real, people. And we're not sharing this with you as out of curiosity. We're sharing this so that if you get something out of it, you realize a battle's already been won. And there are tools that you can use to fight. And there's things you should never do, such as two-way communications with the spirits in the Ouija board. At the time, they gave you accurate predictions. The second thing that happened was exposure, because you were fine for a while after the Ouija board. There wasn't really any hassles or hardships or anything, right, Deb and Arnie?
No, not until about 7 years later.
Which was the time that you had the exposure to what? A rental home with a satanic altar. And
We didn't have an altar in it, though, downstairs. I was, here we go and rent a big house, and it also had an in-law apartment attached to it. And then downstairs, we had part of the downstairs, the cellar,
yes.
But they said never go into this locked room. So,
yes. And wasn't your dog trying to get in there? Wasn't your dog all jacked up trying to scratch and just claw and just get in there?
He scratched like crazy until his paws bled.
Oh, poor baby. Oh, poor baby. So this was basically, this is why I put it on as exposure on number 2, because the invitation was already made, and it could come at any time in your life. And this is when you got exposed, and your family did, exposed to the horrors of an affected house that had definitely more than one spirit there. And there was reports of false ghost apparitions. You yourself sensed something was wrong, and you had asked the owner. Nobody would admit to anything except for the fact that the gal that was moving out said that something was calling her name and freaked her out in the middle of the night at 3 a.m. I thought that was pretty interesting. But the owner wouldn't let you guys out of your what was it? You had an agreement or a written rental agreement?
Yeah, of course we did. And she kept hearing her name in the middle of the night. They were calling her. Her name was Karen. And they kept saying, Karen, Karen. They kept calling her, waking her up every night. Every night.
Wow.
Point where she couldn't take it. She had to move out.
Well, that would have freaked me out, too. Somebody calls my name, you better be calling me for supper. Get out. This is not funny, though. This went from the invitation to Karen that was living there to you guys got spooked because your youngest brother, the weakest link, and this is what I tell people all the time in infestation on the way to oppression and possession, the weakest link is usually hit the first. Because if the weakest link can be taken out, guess who it's going to hit next? The strongest. Why? Because the strongest will always defend the weakest, people. And this is why Arnie was hit, because he wanted to defend that weak link. And this is what we had.
Family. Yes, he was.
Arnie, what did you witness this young boy go through?
Oh, we witnessed him going through all kinds of beatings. Being slapped in the face, slammed into walls. And we would try to do our best to pray for him and protect him. I used to try to shield him from the beatings.
Yeah. These were invisible beatings.
Yeah, invisible.
You could hear them, and then you then you see the marks appear.
Yeah.
And he would cry and scream, "He's there! He's here!" Help me! And he would have him around the throat, choking him as well. This beast. And so we're trying to pry the hands off his neck.
Oh my goodness! At one point in the book, Arnie, it said that you had jumped on Carl because it looked like something had stabbed him, and Deb lifted up his T-shirt, and you saw like red marks where you thought the knife.
I don't think that was on Carl. I think that was on Alan Bono.
Oh, that was on Al? No, that was the end of the book. No, I'm talking about Carl. He was shot. He was stabbed. He was punched.
That all happened to David, not Carl.
Oh, David, sorry. I'm mixing up the two. David.
Okay.
Yeah, Carl was always in his room hiding. He was never really involved in anything.
Carl wasn't present for anything.
Yeah, Carl Jr. and Carl Sr. were the ones that didn't believe. David was the one that was hurt.
Right.
Okay. All right, I'm getting my names right.
Carl would hide in his bedroom, or he would go and stay at friends' houses.
Oh, my goodness, really?
So he wasn't really involved in anything of the possession.
That's crazy. He just managed to just miss everything.
Yeah, he didn't want no part of it. We would tell him to help us, and he would stand there and laugh at us.
Oh, goodness gracious. Poor David. Poor
Yeah.
David. So,
That's because I think Carl was afraid.
well,
I don't know.
Yeah. Carl was what, 2 years older than David? Or was he 3 years older than David?
I think he's like 4 years older.
Oh, okay, because I know he was a little bit older. All right, so then
Yeah.
you guys went to the infestation, meaning just this infection just grew. The chair that we're going to be talking about, bed, body levitation, as in things were lifted up. I remember, Deb, you telling me a horrific thing that wasn't in the book, I hope you don't mind me sharing it again, where belts came off a dresser to smack you.
Oh, yeah, definitely. It did. Now, if half of the stuff was in my mother's house, that levitated or moved.
Oh, gosh.
You know?
Makeup bags got thrown at your mom.
Yeah.
So, what the saddest thing was, in that dinosaur that nobody will ever forget coming alive and chasing your brother David, the saddest thing I think I see here is what a lot of people don't know about your sweet, dear husband is that his mom entered a convent to become a nun. Her mom...
Yes, she did. When she was younger, she did. She wanted to become a nun. And just before, she told me, before it was her turn to, like, kiss the bishop's ring.
Yes.
This is what she told me forever. She always wanted to have children.
Oh.
So that was the reason why she didn't end up becoming a nun.
Well, she's got a heck of a beautiful child in your husband, sweetie.
It-
But I thought
right.
that was so sad. But that is definitely demonic oppression. When something gets between a family to where she would not listen and leave the home that you had rented, and she insisted on staying it no matter what the cost, that was horrific. I couldn't believe you couldn't tell her anything. So on to, and that was, the relationship of your mom, Mother Mary. So then you go to further. This thing was attacking David in a way to where it was threatening the family. It was threatening to kill him. Nobody could sleep at night. You had regular 3 a.m. visitations, regular knocks on the door, right?
Always.
Constantly.
How did you guys get any sleep? I mean, did you sleep standing up?
Barely.
Oh, we didn't. We didn't get any sleep.
I like how you guys
Whenever
laugh
I
about
told
this.
some-
What
some
sleep?
people- yeah.
What sleep?
I would be attacked
He would be physically attacked.
by David when he was under possession.
There was no getting sleep.
It just was not
I
something.
can remember one night I was so tired, I leaned up against the refrigerator. My mother had a little rug, oval rug in front of the fridge.
Mm-hmm.
I remember standing up against the refrigerator trying to stay awake, and then all of a sudden I just slid right down and I laid on the rug.
Oh my goodness, how awful. But that was
It
probably
a
the
point
one
of
place.
collapsing.
Now, I know in a previous show, you folks had told me that a lot of times, because, your mom needed to work, dad needed to work, you kept David in the front room so that his body and his bed thumping wouldn't keep them awake. And
Oh, well, that's because David and Alan shared a bedroom
Oh.
with my son Jason. There
That
was
makes sense.
bunk beds and then another area for another twin bed. And then my father worked, always. And my mother was a homemaker. But I worked, and so did Arnie. So,
And her mother would never let me go to sleep.
ever.
Ever.
Oh my
And so-
goodness.
Then when it was daylight, we would leave my mother there alone with David. And then I would come home right after work, because I was a dog groomer at the time. And so I would race right home. So I would be there before anybody else would. And then Arnie would come in, and then my father would come in, and then, David and Alan and Carl from school, and Jason, of course.
Oh
But she
my-
was alone with him for hours by herself in the
Wow.
morning. And she would call me at work, when are you coming home?
Really?
I'm on my... Oh, yeah.
Oh
Yeah.
goodness.
She didn't want to be there alone with him.
Your poor brother.
I know. It wasn't easy.
Goodness gracious.
Took a toll
Now,
on
what
the
I
whole
found curious is that, the first priest that came in that, originally did the exorcism, he was kind of stumped as to what was going on and what it was. And at first they thought David was just being precocious until they saw what happened to him. Slamming back and forth and up and down.
And the levitation is what got the priest.
Now,
and then that's when he actually they contacted the bishop, and they contacted Rome. Back then, they contacted Rome.
Yes. Well, they had to get permission.
I don't think they have to do that nowadays, Things are done quicker.
I think you're right about that. Sadly, though, this did take your family a while.
Oh, it did.
And it was kind of interesting because, as controversial as the Warrens were, Gerald writes that the priest actually contacted the Warrens.
Well, one of the priests, we contacted a priest.
Yes, you guys
first.
Contacted Father Dennis.
Right. We contacted him, and he kept coming to the house, quite a bit, and then he goes, I'm going to make a phone call. And while he was making a phone call, our next door neighbors that moved in, well, they came over and they witnessed things,
Oh,
but
no.
they were afraid to go back home. But they knew their mother-in-law knew somebody that worked for the Bridgeport Post
Yes.
that knew the Warrens, and they said, these are the people you need to contact.
Wow.
So we contacted them, and the priest also said, you need to speak to somebody, speak to them. But we didn't know the priest already contacted the Warrens. Say, there's one hell of a case going on up there.
You think? Oh, my goodness.
And he didn't want to get too involved, this priest. He was elderly as it was.
Yes.
Because he was getting ready to take his elderly mother to Ireland on a trip.
Oh, poor guy. Yeah, he was probably worried he was going to take some spirits back to Ireland. I mean, okay, as the Irish are, oh my gosh, yes.
Mm-hmm.
He did not want to take anything home with him. Well, go ahead, Shai.
Oh, no, I was just saying exactly. I mean, and then when Warrens came in, they were there to investigate. They brought, doctors and psychiatrists with them to make sure it wasn't a hoax.
Yes.
Did their investigation of the case.
Mm-hmm.
Proved that there was something there, so they have to provide all the information to the diocese so we can get help.
Yes. Most definitely. Yeah, I found it interesting when I was scrolling through the notes and looking through the book that the Warrens were kind of stumped at first, too, because they believed that, they had actually calculated over 40 entities, 40 demonic spirits were actually exercised and active in this boy at one time. And David would see them like gathering in force coming at him in the house and across the field and in the air. And he was actually able to, what is now known as remote viewing. He would remote view things and tell people things that they were as they were happening. To where
Absolutely.
The Warrens actually thought that the weak ones were hiding and staying invisible, and the stronger ones were noisy, whereas actually it was the opposite. The weaker ones were showing themselves, and the bad ones took the longest to get out of David.
Absolutely.
Yep.
And the more the little ones were thrown off, then the medium ones started coming out and really hurting David. Because, Arnie, just from knowing you, I cannot see you challenging a demon if it's not really hurting a kid. There was a point there where you thought that the demon had actually killed David. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was in the lesser form. He stopped breathing and everything. He turned blue.
And then that's
when
when
he was being
yeah.
choked, and
Oh, yeah.
then we had to stop it. It was a lesser exorcism that was going on.
And that's when I started yelling at the priest. I said, "You're killing my brother." I told him, "Stop, stop," and I'm screaming at the priest.
Oh, Deb, I'm so sorry.
Well, when you see somebody stop breathing and they turn blue, you know, that scares you.
And plus, we're holding them down.
So that's even scaring you more. It's like, wait a second, we're holding him. He's blue. What's wrong with this picture?
Yeah, I know. And well, the power they had was unbelievable. I mean, he could throw me around like I was a rag doll when he was under demonic possession. You know?
Oh my gosh!
But seeing the abuse that he went through, I just couldn't take it no more. I just challenged the demons. I said, "Look, leave him alone and show yourself to me. Take me out." Which I shouldn't have done, as I was told. But at the moment, I was trying to relieve him of his pain and suffering. And they answered the question. I mean, they hit me in the chest and knocked me out through doors, steps, and lifted up in the air and thrown around by nothing, you know.
Through that glass door you went?
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, good Lord. You're lucky you didn't die.
Came close.
But that wasn't the point. It wanted your soul. It didn't want your life. It wanted your soul. Thank God it didn't get that. So at the time that you challenged this creature, and basically you were trying to save the family, you were trying to save this little boy. Thank you, Deb, for clearing that up. Arnie's not her boyfriend. Arnie is not her neighbor. Arnie is and always be her beloved husband, Deb Johnson's. What happened at that moment? I know you were desperate and you said, "Oh, just don't do this, just take me." Did you feel different at the time? Or what, did it take some time before you realized that you had invited literally something so black in that you didn't know if you could get it out?
Well, the priest hollered at him after he found that out.
Well, the priest and Lorraine, they all hollered. Right at the moment, no, it didn't. There was no reaction or repercussion at that instant. As the case progressed, you know, that's when they got more physical with me.
Yes.
Personally.
Uh-huh.
I mean, there was a time when I was a tree climber.
Yes.
I was in the top of a tree. The knot just totally came untied right before me, and I fell 50 feet and got stuck in the crotch.
Oh my gosh. And you didn't break your back?
No. I just bounced off limbs, and my ankle got stuck in a V-crotch, which stopped me from falling to the ground.
Oh boy.
Just totally untied right in front of my eyes. And David predicted that the morning before. He told me that they were going to do something to me for challenging them.
Well, that's like in the book where basically Deb was so flip with David at first and didn't believe a word he said that David told her to bring a mop, you dog, to clean the house that you were going to be renting because the waterbed was going to be spilled everywhere. And the waterbed was intact until Karen sat on it with a screwdriver at the exact time David said that nasty phrase, "Bring a mop."
Yeah. But it was a female dog.
Yes, it was a female dog. And the reason I don't say that word is I do not want anybody to be offended by that word, even though it's perfectly...
I said dog.
Yes.
Keep it clean here.
Yes, we're keeping it rated G tonight.
Yes, well, at that moment that you're talking about,
Yes.
we were at the house and David came out with Alan and he told us what he was seeing. And then all of a sudden, this child could see what's happening in the house that's, 50 miles away, roughly. And so I said to David, I said, "Did you touch any of the medicine in the medicine cabinet?" This was early stages,
Yes.
And he goes, "No." He goes, "I can see the dog right now. He's running around. He's very frightened. He's scratching at the front door to try to get out. There's blood in his paws. He's laying in a puddle of urine that he did out of fear, and he was running downstairs and scratching as well."
Poor
So
baby.
he told us all this that night. The next day when we went there, we opened up the door, and we had the old English sheepdog was in the middle of the floor, laying in a puddle of urine. The scratch marks were on the front door with blood all on the door from the paws, and also down in the room that was locked up, down in the basement.
Oh, that poor dog. He must have been terrorized all night.
He was. I would never leave a dog alone again, ever.
And this was the house in Newtown, and we were in the house in Brookfield, and David was telling us everything that was going on. So right then and there, that cleared my mind. There was something totally different that we never experienced happening.
And also, David was also checked by doctors and psychiatrists, also with Ed and Lorraine. These are all the people there, all at the same time. How David could see through solid cement walls and tell people what they were holding up or what was in the room.
Exactly. That made no sense whatsoever.
Wait.
How could he see that far away?
What's that?
He couldn't make it up, Deb. How could he see that?
No, he didn't. No. Not in front of all these doctors and
Nope.
witnesses. There was medical doctors, there was psychologists there, Ed and Lorraine, and plus they had a few other people there. And so they would either hold something up or write something down, and then he would have to tell them what is going on or what the card said or this and that, so that they knew he could actually see through walls.
Oh, Deb, that's so freaky.
Yeah, it is. It is.
That is so freaky. And this kid would, okay, people, you have to keep in mind, this is her baby brother. He's 12 years old. He's just a little pipsqueak.
26 at the time. Well, anyways, it got to the point where I was so frightened, I couldn't even take a shower alone because I was being physically attacked in the shower. I was literally being touched and attacked in the shower. So I always had to have somebody come in the bathroom.
I would have somebody in there with me so I could grab him and go, give me the holy water now. Oh my goodness. Yeah, that would be terrible.
More water to be used. It got worse, of course. It always gets worse before it gets better.
Oh, definitely. When was the first time, people are dying to know in the chat room, when was the first time that the rocking chair actually started rocking on its own? Now, this was the chair that you grew up in, you were rocked in, almost all the kids were rocked in that chair. When was the first time you guys noticed that it had a life of its own by something sitting in it?
Well, it used to, after David was possessed, it would start rocking on its own, and we knew that, that wasn't us doing it. It had to be the beast rocking it,
Yes, and something was mocking you.
Oh, of course. And a lot of times, like when Shy would try to fight the beast, because David would say, Shy, hit him, you're right there, hit him, And Shy would say, where? And he goes, he's right in the rocking chair, laughing. Okay, things like that. But then when David had another informal, as Ed called them, informal exorcisms.
Yes.
The rocking chair levitated on it by itself. It levitated. But that's not the only object in the house that levitated.
Yeah, so the rocking chair was never really a focal point in the thing. Mm-hmm. I mean, he would sit in there once in a while, but basically, we had all tables lifted up in the air, all kinds of things.
Yeah, the table levitated.
The stuff that actually became animated and went to, if the chair was that bad, it would be protected in Ed and Lorraine Warren's gallery.
Right.
Like the dinosaur, that took on a life of its own.
It went to the archives.
Right, that went to the archives.
Or the shoes that you wore.
The shoes,
the shoes that Shy wore this one evening.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's the night of the murder, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Those were David's shoes to begin with. And the reason why Shy wore David's shoes is because Carl had squirted axle grease in Shy's work boots.
Oh my gosh, what a brat.
Oh yeah, he was.
What a brat.
Anyways, so from then, so Shy had David's shoes on.
Mm-hmm.
And then when Shai got arrested that night, those shoes, and then when I finally got the shoes, those are now in the museum. And Lorraine had to do psychometry on those shoes. She also did that, in case people don't know.
And also on the dinosaur.
And on the dinosaur. I mean, and also Lorraine works for the police department as well.
Yep.
A lot of people don't know that either.
True.
When she did psychometry on that, she said, "Oh my God," she goes, "the devil came right through these shoes." And so they asked if they could have the shoes, and they said it would be best in your best interest. I said, "Take them. We don't want them." You know.
I agree. It's the last thing you want
But
to keep.
I put the shoes up at the police department after the case was all over, of
Mm-hmm.
course.
And that was basically what the demon thought was a win in doing a step-in possession February 16th, 1981, when you were with a family. You were with Mary, the girls, or no, you were with the younger girls, Arnie's younger sisters?
Just got back to talking to them again.
Wow. And you were having a good time. You were having a picnic. You had some fun. You had some cocktails. And then your boss got really aggressive.
Well, we actually didn't get a chance to have cocktails. My boss did. And, yeah. So, I went out to get pizza with the girls and with Arnie. And then when we came back, my boss was already, indulging in cocktails.
Mm-hmm.
And Arnie was there fixing his stereo. And so I brought the pizza up, and all of a sudden my boss started getting really loud. And I said, "Come on, girls, let's go." The three girls. And I said, "Let's go, Arnie." And she goes, "Yeah, let's get him out of here." And that's when all hell broke loose.
Is that when is that when Bono grabbed Mary?
Yeah. She was the littlest one.
Oh, good Lord. Alcohol makes people do weird things. I have a tendency to believe, though, that your boss, because of his nearness to Arnie, just because he was in proximity and what Arnie did affected him, because he had no relationship, he had no religion, no nothing. He was a wide open channel to get really angry.
Yeah.
In my opinion, he was used to get Arnie to do what he did.
Definitely. And a lot of people don't realize, people always say, "Oh, Arnie murdered their landlord." I want to clear this up right now.
Please do.
Okay. I was a dog groomer for the kennel that he was watching, taking care of for his sister. An apartment came with the dog grooming, with the dog grooming. So my apartment was free. And I also did kennel work. So when I did the kennel work and cleaning, I got paid. So it wasn't like Arnie murdered his landlord, and a lot of people might think, "Oh my God, he couldn't afford to pay his rent." The rent was automatically paid for, automatically, because I was a dog groomer there, and I did the kennel work.
Oh,
so I don't want people to think, "Oh, he killed his landlord because of the fact he couldn't pay his rent." There was no money exchanged for our rent at all, because it came with the job I had. I just wanted to clear that up in case anybody has any discrepancies about that.
Well, a lot of people don't know, Deb, and this is what I wanted to clear up for so many years, and Ken and I never got around to doing that. Everybody looks at this case and thinks, okay, well, they say that Arnie had a step in possession, but, maybe he was just drunk and decided, that this guy Bono was hitting on you and it was an excuse to stab him. BS and a cracker on rice here, folks, okay? This is not how spiritual warfare works. Arnie put himself directly in the path of the demonic by inviting it. Anyone around Arnie at any time who is not in the sacraments, does not have a relationship with Christ, is basically out there floating around doing their own thing, is A, going to get invited to anger, B, going to be used as a tool to set Arnie off because it wanted Arnie's soul.
And let me make this other thing clear. A lot of people said, well, if it wasn't because of, he killed his landlord because of rent,
Yes.
then there must have been a love affair between me and my boss. His name was Alan Bono.
Yes.
Okay? There was never no love affair. Because even the priest came to church to testify about that because Alan Bono was gay. Because Alan went to him. And this came out in the trial.
And guess what? Not too many people know that. Not too many people know that at all. It's not in the not in the paper, it's not in the book. Not too many people. I'm glad you cleared that up, Deb.
That was in the court transcripts even.
Wow.
And Alan Bono, my boss, was a good friend to me and my husband.
Wow. And look at what happened. He went off. He went off the rail, didn't he? Arnie, was he like he normally was? Had you ever seen Bono like that?
No, I haven't. And as far as that night, I don't even remember anything. When I woke up, I was in prison. In the jail.
In the cell.
And,
Really?
He told me what I was there for, and I didn't believe it. And then as the trial went on, we heard all these excuses: a love affair, drinking. Actually, my blood content was 1 can of beer, they said.
1 can of beer.
Yes.
Yeah, that's really dangerous. Maybe for a mouse.
Oh, Arnie didn't remember anything that took place.
No.
Well, you know
And
what people...
we were all lying to him.
A lot of that all ends, I believe, in the book. They don't even get into the trial part of it.
No, they don't
No,
even
and
get into the trial or anything. But
Well,
what's...
Jill never interviewed Arnie.
Really?
No. He should have contacted Arnie, or he should have told me.
He should have, is
Arnie
right.
put him on his visiting list.
Well, see, and that's where, if people don't understand, Francois just made a really good point. And thank you so much, Doris, for the donation. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Francois just made an important point about what we're talking about here. The devil is always seeking to roam into your home, into your heart, into your life. And it didn't take anything for Bono to instantly be a tool to be used so that Arnie was able to have a step-in possession he didn't see coming. Neither you or the girls saw anything happen. All you saw was them wrestling. I find that absolutely... Ken and I...
But you know what else?
Hold on a second, Deb.
ironic?
Hold on, Deb. Ken and I call that demonic illusion, where everything that happened was blocked from your eyes.
Well, listen to this. When they were in the physical struggle,
Yes.
Arnie and Alan,
Yeah.
his sister and me, the oldest sister,
Yes.
she was 15 at the time, and me, we were in between both men,
Really?
pulling them apart. We actually got in between, the middle of the both of them. That's why we never saw no knife.
Wow.
Never. And we never seen any stabbing, ever. And then after it was all over, the other sister asked the police and somebody else, why is that glowing? The knife was glowing a fluorescent green.
Oh, my
now,
gosh.
why is that? See, that's all in the court transcripts. But
Okay.
that's what they don't want the public to know.
No, they don't. Arnie, you didn't have any glow-in-the-dark paint in your pockets or in your hands? I mean, just on the off chance, you did work at a kennel, sometimes they use paint.
No.
I know, it's one of those wild things. Thank you, Valerie. Thank you for the donation. I know from my experience shaving dogs and grooming dogs, we had, just in the back room, we had regular paint, but I've never seen fluorescent paint.
No, this was glowing.
That's bizarre.
We even had the police at our house
What?
when all this was going on.
Really?
Oh, yeah, because we didn't know what else to do. You know what I'm saying?
Well, actually, Ed and Lorraine told the police department before anything happened that a tragedy could happen,
Yes.
to be aware of it in advance, months in advance.
Oh, yeah, they were put on, notice.
Because there's another time that I supposedly came under possession, from what Debbie told me.
Yes.
But I remember we were at the Newtown house. Everything kept coming from this well in the back. So I actually went to the well.
He went to go look for it. We didn't even know there was a well back there. David
Right.
told us. I stayed in the house. It was getting dark.
Really?
So, and then when I got to the well, I found it where David told me it was. A black figure rose up in front of me. And then when I looked into its eyes, it drew me into another dimension. It's like it was just drawing me in, blacker than black.
Wow.
And that.
So when Arnie came back to the house, because I'm in this house all by myself now, okay? When he came back to the house and he opened the door. No, I opened the door and I'm calling for him. He came in and then all of a sudden his eyes were black as coal, just like David's used to be.
Really?
It looked like shark eyes, black. And I said, oh my God. I knew what was going on. I knew it had entered him, and I'm here alone. Yes. I was so scared. I slapped him so hard in the face. I'm holding rosary beads at the same time, and I slapped him in the face. I was that scared.
Oh, honey.
Oh, yeah. And then he finally came out of it. And I said, let's go, let's get out of here. You know?
Yes. That
I
had
would
to
never
be...
want to live my life, ever.
That had to just be such a shock. I can't even imagine. You guys never saw anything.
No.
At all.
Didn't see it coming.
So who
anyway,
could...
we gave up a lot of money to rent a beautiful home.
Oh, yeah, and that home, it was beautiful. That was just gorgeous.
And they painted it, and, other people live in it now. Good for them.
Yeah, fair. I never really was a believer until I witnessed it. And sometimes I feel like I stand alone, but basically I tell everyone, you have to protect yourself. It's too easy to open up the doors and bring it in, and then you suffer. It's for real.
And my mother always said, even on her deathbed, 8 years ago, she said, don't let the story die. Get it out there. You have to tell people this is real.
I think that the focus, we invited people here to talk about the Devil's Rocking Chair. But But before, hold on a second. Before we finish the show, and telling people why we brought this up, I want everybody here, and I want to thank everybody so much for joining us and participating in the show with us. We have to remember that whatever it was, Deb didn't go looking. She did not go looking to practice witchcraft. She did not go looking to practice the occult. She played with a Ouija board. She didn't really know. She thought it was a game. And then hell struck her family. And it struck just about every member in this family. But she and Arnie, with their love of God, their marriage survived. Their family survived. Not everyone in the family has fared so well. Alan's still doing good, right?
Oh, Alan's doing okay. He's fine. There's a few things I want to answer in the chat room.
Okay.
Kathy wanted to know, was Arnie Catholic at the time? No, he was a Baptist at the time. He's a Catholic now.
Which means he was baptized, and he was part of the body of Christ.
Right. And Tony says, does Arnie remember anything from the time that the demon apparently took control? No, he doesn't. He didn't know he was possessed. We had to tell him everything that happened, that took place, and that's why he didn't believe us at first. He didn't, because he even woke up in a jail cell. He doesn't remember the fire department finding him on the road and picking him up, and because they were looking for him as well.
And the red splash across my whole chest.
Oh yeah, and then they took pictures when they got to the Brookfield, jail cell there. They took pictures of him naked as well. He had all slash marks all over his chest.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
What happened?
So,
How did that?
Well, that was the night of the possession, the murder.
Oh,
They picked him up within like 20 minutes. He didn't even know where he was. He was in the fog. They explained. He didn't know anything. They just picked him up. They said, "Come with us," and then he went with them, and they brought him in to the police department, and he was sleeping. And then when he woke up, he said, "Where am I?" And they said, "You're being arrested for murder." And they go, "What?" He didn't believe anything they said to him.
Yeah, it's a slap in the face.
Yeah.
oh my gosh.
Yeah.
What a shock.
I know. So, right away, I had to call the Warrens right away.
Yeah.
They were on another case, actually, and so the next day I called the newspaper because I didn't want them to think that, oh, we arrested this man for murder, and then I talked to the woman there and told her the story, what had happened. Because I couldn't see an innocent person,
No.
Be on murder for, be on
You
trial
knew
for
he was
murder.
innocent. You knew he didn't do that. He'd never
was
do
there.
that. He still wouldn't
And
do
it's like
that.
His sister and I were right in between them, and a knife never touched
Either
him
one
at
of
all.
you. Either one of you.
No. No.
Whatever happened to that knife?
They have it. I guess it's in, the Danbury courthouse in their files or whatever. I don't know.
Somebody wants to know from chat, Arnie and Deb, what happened to David? When Arnie got
David?
out, how was David? Because we know David had a little bit of a learning disability. And
He did have learning disability, but we had to actually leave the country to go out for a full Romanum exorcism.
Yes.
And when we went for that exorcism, that one worked, and I knew it worked because when it did happen, Arnie was already locked up then. When it did happen, the windows blew out of this beautiful church, and things were flying high
Oh my
in that
gosh.
church. And we knew when it was over because then after everything exploded in the church, it was peaceful. It was great.
That is amazing.
Yeah.
When I know David was probably, he'd never been in that church before when he had gone through this.
No, this church was out of the country because they tried the churches here and they had to actually get an exorcist.
Yes. Did David have any memory of what happened? Did he... No, wait a second. There's something that was in the book. David actually told someone the very minute that Bono was stabbed, he told somebody what happened. Was it your mother or your father?
I don't remember which one.
Yeah,
to be
but
honest
he
with you.
basically opened his mouth and said what was happening. And they were just like, no, that didn't happen.
Yeah.
And then it did.
No, David did say that, but I can't remember. He was probably talking to my mother. And when that had happened, see, we were only a mile from my mother's house.
Yes.
The kennel was a mile from her house. And all I remember doing is like calling my mother because I was so frightened. And since I called her, all I did was scream. I never even said anything. And then her and my father came over, and Carl came over. All I did was scream. And then I called the. I don't even know who I called. Whether I called the police or my parents did, because all I was doing was screaming.
Oh, honey, I'm so sorry. Did you see your cute brother popped in, Alan?
Where?
He's in chat.
He's in chat?
Yeah.
No, I didn't.
He's being a booger. He's like saying all these nice things, and I'm like, oh, thanks. He's like, this is Alan.
Oh, I don't see him. Maybe you see him, but I can't.
Iron.
Oh, there it is. Wait a minute. The real Alan.
Yeah.
Don't be a stranger.
This is
Hi, Al. My darling.
He must have heard us talking about him, saying, oh, yes, Alan's doing okay.
But as far as the rocking chair...
Yes. No, let's get back to the rocking chair.
Al, you want to say anything about the rocking chair?
Alan, you want to say anything about the rocking chair? Pipe in. We'll read your comments straight from the chat.
The exact thing is trying to make stuff up so he can make up his money he spent.
Well, that's just it, folks. I'm sure everybody, if you are not already aware... Yeah, Alan says, hey, Deb... If you're not aware, this rocking chair set somebody back $67,000.
That is so funny. Oh, my God. You know why that's so funny?
Please tell me.
I guess one of the siblings needed money.
Yeah, one of my siblings needed money, obviously, and they keep riding on my hubby's shirt tails.
And he's not one of the nicest ones, is he?
No, he's not. So he must be really hurting for money.
Oh my gosh. Well, and everybody wants to know, what is the big deal with this rocking chair? Okay, now, from my perspective, I'm going to tell you what my perspective is, and Arnie and Deb, I'd like you guys to finish up. And Alan, if you have anything to add, just pop in there, okay? Because I can read it, and so can Deb and Shai. My perspective is this. When you have a case like this, and something that is used in this case to terrorize, to scare, to freak people out in the room, this is not an object of the oppression. Like, Shai was saying, it was just one of those things. Even the dinosaur, in my opinion, was not an object. It was not, shall we say, specifically picked out and used for any length of time. It was an act of convenience. So in other words, there was nothing lingering. So whatever this person is claiming is happening with this chair, it's kind of like I say about that one pastor. Who's that guy that smacks people and, they go into tremors and speaking in tongues? Who's that pastor?
Ken would know.
The Bob Ross of exorcisms. Let's paint a little demon here. Whatever his name is. I know. Where's Ken when we need him? Ken.
I know. Oh, he's listening right now to make sure it's going all right.
I know, right? So my opinion is that, guess what, kids? I'm going to let Deb and Shai tell you, but there is nothing that is nothing but a chair. And if anybody claims there's otherwise, I would tell you, nah, scratch your head, look away. All right, Deb, Shai, what do you think about the chair?
I would just say one of my siblings just got very wealthy. Ha, ha, ha.
I mean, my own children have sat in that chair. I mean, growing up. I mean, it's always been there,
Yeah.
And the chair itself, it wasn't an object. It was just happened to be there in the room, like everything else that got moved and levitated in the whole house.
Precisely. So what's the
now,
big
Sarah,
deal?
I shared with you. I sent you a picture of what the priest used on David.
Yes.
That little brass, looks like a vial canister. It's brass and it has a cotton ball on it, and it has holy oil in it.
Yes.
And it still does. That's what he used on David. Mm-hmm. That would be worth money, and I'll never sell that. Well, anyways. No. They were saying...
They tried to say in the chair there was holy water and oils stains on the chair. It's probably the Chihuahua piss.
Yeah, the Chihuahua pee stains. But the holy oil wouldn't have stained because it was only placed on David's forehead.
And he was always on the floor.
Yeah.
Did everybody hear that? Did everybody hear that? Deb and Shai are saying that holy water does not stain wood. Hello? Hello? If you're going to claim something stains, make it bacon grease. Make it, how about paint? Fluorescent paint? No, holy water does not stain.
No, it doesn't. And the holy oil was only used on David, his physical body. And I still have that.
So why do you think this guy is claiming that there's a bunch of, I don't know, attachments? Or why do you think he's
probably whatever my other sibling told him to make some extra money. He's a good businessman. He knows how to make a buck, my other sibling.
Really? So you think he just put on his BS boots and just said, "Hey, you got to check this thing out."
Absolutely. And he laughed all the way to the bank.
Oh my gosh. That's crazy.
Hey, I won't sell anything.
Now there's going to be a lot of hype, because if the chair was that important, it would have been in Ed and Lorraine's.
That's true. Ed and Lorraine would have wanted it, and the family, you guys would have probably given it to them right away, right?
Oh, absolutely, like everything else.
Exactly, so, because it was no big deal to you guys. It's like...
It's been the whole house. There you go.
Here, just wrap the whole house up and take it.
Well, they should have took the door, so when I was throwing out the door, the screen door stuck in my arm, left a scar when I was throwing out it. The screen door could be
part of it too.
Well, yeah, you know what? And to tell you the truth, something that draws blood and contacts blood, that's kind of like attracting vultures, attracting demons. You have a point there. Why don't we rip out the screen door?
Yeah.
People.
I love Bob Ross too. I love Bob Ross.
I know we're all having an I love Bob Ross fest.
You know what? I could watch that guy. We both would. My husband and I.
Yeah,
and
me too. Oh my gosh, Ken and I loved him. Let's paint a little happy tree here.
That guy, his voice would put us to sleep for a nap. Yep.
Oh my gosh, that's so funny. Oh, guess what? We have something from El Alano. Soy sauce stains. Who ate Chinese in the chair? It was soy sauce.
Yeah, that's Alan. That's Alan.
Oh, that's so funny. Good job, Alan. Soy sauce. Oh my gosh. Well, I guess the bag man got bagged, didn't he?
Yeah, he got it. I'm just ashamed. It's a shame it wasn't on, so I could have watched it last night and laughed at it. But you know what I did?
What?
Well, I heard that it wasn't going to be. It was supposed to be on TV last night.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And all of a sudden, they claim he had to close down his museum, right, Farrah?
Yes.
Because it was too traumatic for his visitors or something. It was too much havoc. That chair was causing too much havoc. You know, I think it was all a PR stunt.
Yep. That's what I think.
Yep. So, that chair was just my family's rocking chair, and to me, that'll just, I would sit in it today.
Oh, exactly. And, you know, there's a good point made. You know, people think that they're...
grew up in that chair as a child. Mm-hmm. It meant nothing, you know, it meant...
Our children sat in that chair.
Our children. Arnie said our children sat in that chair.
Exactly. If it was so bad, why didn't everybody get infested? Because it doesn't have anything attached to it.
Right.
And somebody did point out, if that chair was purchased with the intent of using it in the occult, because it's already experienced something very negative, yes, that could happen. But those people don't have the same level of faith and religion that you do. So yeah, there could be problems. I have to address that. Yes, there could.
Yep. They might have something there. So
or you spend a lot of money and you have to sell it so you can make your money back.
I would think so, and I would think something would have to be sold along with it other than those cute little brown cushions.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm sorry.
frankly, Farrah, I've never had an exorcism, and I've dealt with my life just through faith.
Faith and sacraments and prayer, exactly.
Yeah. Yep.
And that's all anybody needs. We all need to remember the battle's already been won. And thank God there's some people
when you pray, you have to pray earnestly about it. I mean, you just can't say the words.
No.
You have to actually mean it.
You do have to pray earnestly. Exactly. Oh.
You know? So I hope we cleared up anything that anybody had, was wondering. We cleared it up for them.
I hope so too, you guys. I'm going to let you go because I know you guys are hard workers and it's that time of day. And I want to thank you, Arnie, so much for joining us, because this has been a rare treat for people to actually hear one-on-one what you did experience, what you lived through, and how evil did not take you over completely. You turned your whole life to God. You practice your faith. You practice your prayer. You practice your everything that you need to keep your conscience clean and your heart set on God. That's what we all need.
Yes. And thank you, Farrah, for having me.
Oh, thanks so much. It's always great. And Deb.
Sure. The next time we got to tell you how I married Arnie in prison.
Ooh, oh my gosh. Okay. Well, you know what? We could do that next weekend if you want to. Part 2.
We could.
We could.
Are you up for it?
Oh, sure.
Oh my gosh, we're doing a part 2. Don't you love it? Everybody's like getting all geeked in the chat room. Oh yeah. Okay, so Alan, you better come back because you were probably a witness.
Yeah, he's a witness.
Oh my gosh, that is so funny.
Love my Alan.
I know, that was so nice of him to pop in too. That was so nice of him. Okay, you guys, I'm gonna hit the screen credits and the show ending theme here, and I'm gonna say good night, sleep tight, don't let the bed bugs bite, and we love you. And good night. Don't forget, kids.
The Real Deals TV show, copyright 2018. A Swords of St. Michael.
Love you, Deb. Love you, Shy.
Any unauthorized duplication or rebroadcast or retransmission of this broadcast without the express written permission of the Swords of the Saint Network or that of Kenneth and Farrah Rose Deal is strictly prohibited.
We're doing part 2 next week.